What is up, gamers? M107 here and welcome back to the channel. So DICE just decided to announce update 6.1, which goes live with the Dark Protocol Halloween events on October 31st. I made a video explaining everything you need to know about this event and it will pop up on the top right corner. Make sure to check it out after you watch this one. So there are tons of fixes coming with this update. The patch note is just filled with topics fixing almost impossible bugs that we will be talking about later on the video. But there are some interesting nerfs to light air vehicles in general, which means Nightbird, stealth helicopters, and jets, and even more nerfs will be applied to the Nightbird. The EMKV-90 Tor will also receive some changes that I would not call them nerfs. I believe DICE wants to change the role of this vehicle on the battlefield because there's not really a big difference between Tor and the main battle tanks. Also, some weapons including AEK, ACW-R, and G36 will be tweaked. We're going to discuss all of that in detail alongside other important changes, so make sure to stick around until the end of the video so you won't miss out on anything. Also, make sure to hit the like button if you find the video helpful and subscribe to the channel for more videos on Battlefield 2042 and other new games coming out. So let's start with a rather weird change that kind of shocked me when I first heard it. Nightbird, stealth helicopter, and jets will be vulnerable to standard bullets, which means that you can aim at a Nightbird with your AR using standard issue rounds and damage them. This might be a work towards making the game more realistic, but does Battlefield 2042 even need to be this realistic? I mean, I have no clue about the thought process behind this. DICE didn't explain why they're doing this as usual, but with all the nerfs coming to Nightbird, this just makes it very hard for pilots to be playing close to the ground. Jets might be moving fast and stay safe in the most scenarios. Even stealth helis might not be affected to a degree where it's just unplayable, but for Nightbird, they're always close to hordes of players. We don't know how much damage they will take from standard bullets. That's just a big question mark, but this is one of those changes that might ruin the experience for a lot of players. For now, all I can say is DICE needs to be listening to pilots after this update and see how things work for them. So let's move on to details about Nightbird. All this poor fellow gets is being nerfed. I mean, DICE is going too hard on Nightbird pilots this time, so let's take a look. Minimum damage for the minigun is lowered from 10 to 8. Minigun damage drop-off will now start at 100 meters, reduced from 150, and minigun damage drop-off will now end at 250 meters, reduced from 300. So as you can clearly see, DICE is trying to force the Nightbird pilots to play in close ranges, and here's what they claim they intend to do. We have introduced these changes to ensure that the Nightbird is most efficient in its intended combat range, which is close to medium. We do not expect drastic performance alterations with these changes. However, players can expect to be less efficient when taking on targets out of their intended range. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but there's a stupid paradox going on here. Nightbird will take damage from standard bullets, which means it will be most vulnerable in close combat, and they're taking away its ability to engage at higher ranges by just simply destroying the efficiency of its minigun, forcing players to engage in close quarter scenarios. I don't know how pissed off the pilots are right now. Maybe things won't be as bad as they look just now, but being so weak against everything just doesn't make sense. I'm not a pilot myself, so if there's a pilot watching this, tell me how you feel about the upcoming changes and how do you think they're going to affect your gameplay. Moving on, we've got even more changes coming to the Tor, which is the second portion of the changes to this specific vehicle, as DICE wants to address it. The first part made it less powerful against light air vehicles at certain ranges, and the Tor can't one-shot kill those air vehicles at high distances. DICE is trying to give it some close-range capabilities to make it more aggressive if the player wants to play this way. So here's the list of changes. Gunner seat will now have 20mm shotgun, 40mm grenade launcher, and 7.62 miniguns available for selection as loadout options. A unique close-range coaxial canister weapon with high rate of fire will be now available for use by drivers, and both main weapons of the Tor will now have increased turret speed, which means they can move faster to engage targets easier at close ranges. Positive changes if you ask me. They're giving the players a wider approach to the vehicle, letting them choose how they want to play. Whether it's an aggressive style or a long-range vehicle hunter, you've got your options. Compared to Nightbird, these changes might even be embraced by the players. Now for the weapons, the AEK is going to have some improvements to recoil. DICE calls it a minor rework of handling. Recoil will now reset faster, making it easier to tap fire with the AEK. I've never been able to tap fire properly with this weapon. I mean, tap firing in Battlefield 2042 was always messed up, okay? But after update 6, things got a little bit better. AEK though, still feels like crap. I mean, the recoil of this thing is just unpredictable and tap firing is just a disaster. Also, first shots multipliers will be different and the recoil camera behavior will be improved, so we might feel a little less recoil, which is definitely going to be nice and helps to improve the muscle memory for the AEK, because as I said, every time you fire this weapon, the recoil just feels different. For the G36, the overall weapon accuracy will be reduced by 5%. DICE says it only should be noticeable at longer ranges, but I guess we can all agree on the fact that it will affect the overall experience regardless of how far you engage. And for the ACW-R, it's finally happening. I mean, this thing is a monster in close to medium ranges, or let's say it was a monster and not anymore. DICE claims that the damage curve was slightly tweaked. Let's see what they mean by slightly tweaked exactly. So in 0 to 15 meters, it will now deal 28 damage. Right now, it does the same damage in 0 to 30 meters. So what DICE calls a slightly tweaked damage curve is literally destroying the medium range capabilities of a weapon. Take a look at those numbers again if you think it's just a small change. Those are actual nerfs to ACW-R, but that's not the end. From 15 to 20 meters, it will deal 26 damage, and from 20 to 70 meters, it will deal 22. Previously, it would deal 22 damage in 30 to 75 meters. So to summarize all these numbers, the damage per distance of the ACW-R will be lowered, making it less effective in medium to high ranges. The problem is, they're literally nerfing the gun even in lower ranges. I mean, the damage drop starts from 15 meters. Those numbers mean a lot if you actually think about them. I believe ACW-R will have way less users after this update. Alright, so we've got some more changes and fixes which we go through one by one. Tanks will no longer be able to climb very steep angles. How steep? Nobody knows. This is one of those changes that you just can't judge before actually experiencing it in game, so I'll just leave it at that. Pike's EMGX scanner will no longer trigger when using certain vehicles. They haven't mentioned anything about these certain vehicles, but I thought maybe those Pike lovers might want to know this. Apparently, jet pilots were having a bad time with the first-person free-look sensitivity being too slow, so now the sensitivity will be increased. On Redacted, players will no longer be able to get on top of the incinerators on Flag A, which was kinda annoying, but in my opinion, that's just limiting the player's freedom and it was not really necessary. Some minor UI improvements have been made to collection screen for weapons. Also, some firing, reload, and other weapon-related animations will be fixed, which again, we don't have any details on. The end of round screen will see some changes to emphasize more on squad play. There will be a best squad screen which highlights the best squad in the specific match, and it will show their best vehicle as well. Also, you will be able to see how your own squad worked towards the result of the match. And lastly, it looks like in some scenarios, explosions could get through obstacles in the presence of smoke, and that will be improved, not fixed. That's the exact word they used. I mean, think about it. How on earth can a glitch like that even exist? How can smoke affect explosion damage going past walls and obstacles? Things DICE can do are really odd sometimes. The list of changes just keeps going on and on. I chose the important ones for you to know. If you want to read the whole patch note, I'll put the link down in the description. Make sure to check it out. Hope you enjoyed the video and thanks for watching. Until next time, stay cool.